In a nation captivated by headlines, few could have predicted the electrifying statement Donald Trump made during a rally in the heart of the Bible Belt. Among thousands of supporters waving flags and chanting in unison, he dropped a rhetorical lightning bolt. Some people are saying that Jesus wasn't white. They're saying he was black. His words, simultaneously provocative and enigmatic, left many grappling with questions about faith, history, and identity. Why would Trump, a figure known more for his political theatrics than theological insights, broach such a sensitive topic? What does this revelation mean for a country already divided by race and religion? The answer begins with Trump's unparalleled ability to command attention and steer public discourse. His declaration, delivered with the cadence of a preacher, wasn't just a soundbite. It was a strategic moment. If you enjoy content that helps you grow spiritually, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join our community for more inspiration. Let's get started. He understood the emotional undercurrents of his audience, people seeking validation for their values and fears amidst what they perceive as cultural erasure. By suggesting that Jesus might not fit the traditional imagery many hold dear, Trump sparked a storm that extended beyond the rally's boundaries. The rally itself carried an almost liturgical ambience. Supporters in red caps stood shoulder to shoulder, their energy oscillating between political fervor and spiritual zeal. As he took the stage, his characteristic confidence blended with a calculated gravity. His statement on Jesus' racial identity was delivered not as a fact, but as an open-ended question, a calculated ambiguity designed to provoke thought and, more importantly, reactions. For some in the crowd, the notion of a black Jesus was a revelation, igniting applause and affirmations of agreement. For others, it was a bewildering challenge to entrenched beliefs. Still, for many, it was a rallying cry against what they saw as attempts to rewrite history. Trump masterfully leveraged these varied reactions, stoking the crowd's emotions and leaving an indelible mark on the public imagination. "Think about it," he urged, his voice rising above the growing fervor. "They don't want you to know the truth. But maybe, just maybe, there's more to the story than they're telling us." In this single moment, Trump managed to intertwine his political narrative with theological intrigue, crafting a message that would reverberate far beyond the rally's walls. As the frenzy of reactions unfolded online, the discourse spilled into every imaginable corner of public life. News anchors dissected Trump's remarks with fervor, inviting religious scholars, cultural critics, and political strategists to weigh in. Phrases like rewriting history and cultural hijacking punctuated heated debates that dominated primetime slots, ensuring that the comment lingered in the public consciousness far beyond its initial delivery. One thing became clear: the power of a single statement to reshape how we perceive history, faith, and identity. The question of how religious imagery shapes our cultural and spiritual understanding has never been more urgent. But how do we find clarity amidst the noise? This is exactly what The Secret of Jesus' Apparitions offers: a path to clarity and peace through his revelations. This ebook goes into his prophecies and offers insight into what lies ahead. It's available for free in the pinned comment. Grab it now before the edition's gone. In suburban churches across the Midwest, congregations found themselves grappling with questions they had rarely faced before. Sunday sermons became unexpected platforms for theological exploration as pastors attempted to address the controversy without alienating their flocks. For some, it was an opportunity to reaffirm traditional beliefs. For others, it was a chance to push their congregations toward uncomfortable but necessary introspection about faith identity, and representation. Meanwhile, academic circles buzzed with a renewed interest in the historical Jesus. Panels were hastily organized at universities, where historians presented evidence of Jesus's likely Middle Eastern appearance, challenging the long-held Western iconography that portrayed him with light skin and European features. These discussions, though in historical scholarship, took on a contemporary edge as they intertwined with ongoing debates about race and representation in modern society. On social media, the conversation was even more volatile. Memes and hashtags proliferated as users on opposite ends of the political spectrum clashed in comment sections. Supporters of Trump celebrated his audacity, framing the moment as a rare instance of a political leader daring to challenge societal norms. "He's just saying what we've all been thinking," wrote one enthusiastic follower. Opponents, however, decried the statement as reckless and divisive. "This isn't about history or theology," tweeted a prominent commentator. "It's about weaponizing faith to divide us further." Amid the cacophony of opinions, a quieter but equally significant movement emerged. Advocacy groups saw an opportunity to foster dialogue about diversity within religious spaces. Events promoting multicultural depictions of biblical figures gained traction, drawing participants eager to explore faith through a lens of inclusivity. Trump, however, remained unyielding. Speaking at a subsequent event, he doubled down on his comments, maintaining his characteristic ambiguity. "They're talking about it, aren't they?" he said, flashing a knowing grin. "That's what matters." In this moment, it became evident that for Trump, the true victory wasn't in the accuracy of his claim, but in the unparalleled ability to dominate the conversation. As discussions reverberated beyond social media, the controversy reached political circles, where both allies and adversaries debated the fallout. Republican strategists saw an opportunity to double down on Trump's remark, framing it as a bold stance against the perceived erasure of tradition. Interviews with conservative think tanks flooded cable news, with panelists lauding Trump for challenging woke culture and opening the door to re-examining historical narratives. Behind closed doors, however, party leaders privately questioned the wisdom of provoking such a contentious debate. Some feared alienating moderate voters, while others worried about the long-term implications of intertwining race and religion in an already polarized political climate. Meanwhile, Democratic leaders capitalized on the moment, lambasting Trump for what they described as his opportunistic exploitation of faith to advance his agenda. "This isn't about history," one senator declared on the Senate floor. "It's about creating chaos and capitalizing on division." Beyond the halls of power, the conversation took an even more personal turn in households across the nation. Families, friends, and co-workers found themselves in heated discussions, as differing interpretations of Trump's comment tested relationships. For some, it was an enlightening moment, sparking curiosity about historical and theological truths. For others, it was a source of frustration and division, particularly when held beliefs clashed with new perspectives. As the debates unfold, take a moment to explore timeless insights that could offer clarity in today's complex world. Don't miss your chance to download the free ebook. Copies are running out fast. In schools and universities, teachers and professors navigated the delicate balance of addressing the topic without inflaming tensions. High school history classes delved into discussions about the historical Jesus, while theology professors invited students to explore the intersection of faith, culture, and racial identity. Though these efforts aimed to foster understanding, they often revealed the deeply ingrained biases and assumptions that many were reluctant to confront. Meanwhile, grassroots movements seized the momentum to advocate for broader cultural awareness within religious spaces. Workshops on racial diversity in Christian art gained traction, attracting participants eager to challenge conventional representations of Jesus and embrace a more inclusive narrative. These events often included panels with theologians, artists, and historians who emphasized the importance of representation in shaping spiritual understanding. While Trump's comment may have been delivered in passing, its ripple effects extended far beyond the initial audience. The public, divided as ever, found itself entrenched in a debate that intertwined faith, identity, and politics in ways that were impossible to ignore. The conversation continued to evolve, sparking reflection, division, and perhaps even some understanding, as America grappled with the complex legacy of its religious and cultural narratives. Amid the uproar, a new wave of discussions rippled through the halls of seminaries and religious institutions. Faculty members debated how Trump's remarks could shape the evolving narrative of modern Christianity. The emphasis on Jesus' racial identity sparked a renewed examination of Western religious traditions, particularly the ways in which depictions of Jesus had been co-opted to justify historical systems of oppression. For seminarian Ethan Morales, the moment presented an opportunity for education. My students often overlook how much religious imagery reflects societal power structures, Morales noted during a lecture on Christian iconography. He pointed to Renaissance paintings that portrayed Jesus as a pale, blue-eyed figure, contrasting them with Ethiopian, Coptic, and other non-European depictions of Christ. These images, he explained, provided insight into the cultural and political priorities of their creators. While some students found the topic eye-opening, others struggled with the implications. If our entire understanding of Jesus has been framed by biased portrayals, what else have we misunderstood? Asked a student, sparking an animated class discussion about the intersection of faith and representation. Parallel conversations were unfolding in community organizations. Local activists seized the opportunity to engage in broader dialogues about racial equity and historical accuracy. Workshops on the cultural context of biblical narratives sprang up in urban centers, with speakers addressing everything from early Christian diversity to the role of religion in shaping racial perceptions. In one such workshop in Detroit, community leader Angela Rowe underscored the importance of reclaiming narratives. Jesus' story belongs to everyone, not just to those who painted him in their image, she asserted. Her statement resonated with attendees, many of whom shared personal experiences of exclusion from predominantly white religious spaces. Meanwhile, political operatives continued to dissect the fallout. Conservative strategists viewed the chaos as a tactical victory, a disruption that kept Trump's name dominating headlines. Liberal commentators, however, framed it as a dangerous escalation, calling for greater accountability in how public figures wielded religious rhetoric. The resonance of Trump's comment transcended the immediate debates. It became clear that the controversy had reopened old wounds about representation, privilege, and the role of religion in public life. For many, it wasn't just about what Jesus looked like, but about how his image had been weaponized to uphold structures of power, or how it might now be reclaimed to challenge them. Amidst the swirling conversations, finding deeper understanding is more important than ever. A free resource awaits you. Just a few copies remain. Check the link in the first comment before it's gone. Within predominantly white evangelical communities, Trump's remark created a subtle yet undeniable ripple. For decades, these spaces have championed a Christ who aligns more closely with their cultural and aesthetic ideals. The image of a white Jesus, familiar and comforting, had long served as a visual anchor for their spiritual and moral worldview. Now, faced with the possibility of a black Jesus, a concept previously dismissed or avoided, many found themselves grappling with questions that challenged their perceptions of faith and identity. In small Bible study groups and prayer meetings, the topic surfaced cautiously, often framed as an abstract theological inquiry rather than a pressing cultural debate. Some leaders took this as an opportunity to remind their congregants of the universality of Christ's message, emphasizing that his teachings transcend race or ethnicity. Yet for others, the conversation revealed the extent to which race and religion had been unconsciously entwined. One church leader in Kentucky, Pastor Alan McCready, addressed the congregation with measured words. "What matters is not what Jesus looked like, but what he represents for each of us," he proclaimed. While his sentiment was met with nods of agreement, a quiet tension lingered in the room. For some attendees, the notion of a black Jesus felt like an intrusion into a sacred and unchanging image, sparking discomfort they struggled to articulate. In contrast, progressive Christian circles embraced the controversy as a chance to explore themes of inclusion and representation more openly. Workshops and panels sprang up in urban centers, bringing together theologians, artists, and activists to discuss the implications of Jesus' racial identity. These events often featured artwork reimagining Christ in diverse cultural contexts, from African-inspired depictions to indigenous representations, challenging attendees to expand their understanding of faith's visual and cultural dimensions. Meanwhile, Trump's comment had a different resonance within the Black Christian community. Churches that had long embraced the image of a black Jesus used the moment to reaffirm their theological stance. In Atlanta, Reverend Sheila Carter delivered a fiery sermon, urging her congregation to reflect on the transformative power of reclaiming Christ's image. Jesus walked with the outcasts, healed the forgotten, and challenged the oppressors, she declared. For us, that's not just history, it's the truth we live every day. This embrace of a culturally resonant Christ stood in stark contrast to the cautious approach seen in white evangelical spaces. It underscored the divide not only in theological interpretation, but also in the lived experiences of faith communities across America. Beyond the national discourse, the controversy began to seep into unexpected corners of society, sparking reflections on cultural representation and its significance in everyday life. Artists, long attuned to the power of imagery, took up the challenge of reimagining Jesus through diverse lenses. Galleries in major cities organized exhibitions featuring works that depicted Christ in forms resonating with different racial, cultural, and regional identities. These portrayals invited viewers to reconsider not only their spiritual understanding, but also the biases that inform their perceptions of the sacred. One particularly striking piece, unveiled at an art exhibit in Chicago, depicted Jesus surrounded by symbols of oppression and resilience, a crown of thorns fashioned from barbed wire, his robes embroidered with imagery of both African and Middle Eastern heritage. Critics praised the work as a poignant commentary on the universality of suffering and redemption, while attendees described the emotional impact of seeing Christ rendered in forms so intimately tied to their own experiences. While the discussion continues, remember that true clarity starts with the right tools. The free ebook is still available, but not for long. Secure your copy through the link before it's too late. Meanwhile, educators grappled with how to address the controversy within classrooms. High school teachers incorporated lessons about the historical Jesus into curricula that previously skirted religious discussions, framing the topic as an exploration of art, history, and cultural expression rather than theology. These lessons often led to spirited debates among students, many of whom were encountering the complexities of religious representation for the first time. For some, the discussions opened their eyes to the broader implications of historical narratives, while others found themselves questioning the images they had always accepted without scrutiny. In the political realm, the conversation showed no signs of abating. Political commentators continued to dissect the ramifications of Trump's remark, debating whether the uproar was an intentional diversion or a moment of unplanned candor. Campaign strategists on both sides of the aisle analyzed the lasting effects on voter sentiment, with some predicting that the controversy would galvanize faith-based communities to engage more actively in upcoming elections. If this message makes you think and you feel it connects with you, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Also, if you really want to support our work and help us keep creating valuable content, consider giving us a super thanks. Join this amazing community and don't miss any news. Grassroots movements also found new momentum, particularly among younger generations. Social media campaigns aimed at diversifying religious imagery gained traction, with hashtags like #DocIsInclusiveFaith and Reclaim Jesus trending alongside Trump-related debates. Activists organized forums to discuss the intersection of faith, culture, and social justice, drawing participants from across ideological and religious spectrums. Amid the growing dialogue, one thread remained consistent: the power of religious imagery to evoke both division and unity. As conversations continued, it became clear that this moment transcended Trump's initial remark, evolving into a broader reckoning with the ways faith and identity intersect in shaping America's cultural landscape.